Hey YouTube, welcome back to the channel. So a lot of people thinking about making the switch to an electric vehicle often get nervous about charging, and one of the key questions my wife and I get asked are, number one, how easy is it to charge living in London? And number two, is it worth getting an electric vehicle if you don't have a home charger? Well, fun fact, we don't have a home charger. We don't even have a driveway where we live. I read a stat recently that said something like 70% of drivers in the UK have access to off-street parking, and you could expect the availability of that type of parking to be lower in urban areas and cities like London. And to be honest, one of the things we considered when we bought the car was the fact that we didn't have a driveway or a home charger. And when I say we, I really mean my wife, who was way less convinced and is more risk averse than I am. She loves the car now. So this video will be an explainer just to demonstrate just how easy it is to charge in and around London. And hopefully it will convince you that going electric is the right way to go. So to be honest, there are so many dissenters out there on social media, on the internet, and even in real life, and these are some of the things that they say. But are they right? Does not having a home charger or a driveway make owning an EV difficult? So clearly those of you who watch the channel know that it hasn't been a deal breaker for us, and we've actually kept the car. It's actually coming up to a year since we took ownership of our EV. And despite the fact that yes, it's true, whilst having a home charger and a driveway would make charging convenient, it will save time and it will save costs, it hasn't been a deal breaker. And if I'm going to be really honest, we haven't really thought about it. It's just been a bit of an adjustment. So our car is the Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus from 2021, and it has a 52.6 kilowatt hour battery with a rated 263 miles of range. In real terms, that 263 miles is probably closer to 230 miles, and in an average week I drive about 150 miles, so that means I'm charging once every 1 to 2 weeks. When the battery's near dead, charging to full takes about 40 minutes at a Tesla supercharger. Tesla has some of the fastest chargers in the UK, and they tend to charge at 150 kilowatts or 250 kilowatts maximum. However, your mileage may vary, and to be honest, it doesn't really reach those maximums or sustain them for any appreciable amount of time. That being said, they are super quick, and if you just need to stop off at a supercharger to top up, it's very convenient. So when it comes to charging, I tend to charge at the Tesla supercharging network, and there are several locations within London, though the coverage isn't that great, to be honest. It tends to sort of just pass through the centre of London from west to east, and it would be handy if there was better coverage in the north and south of London. Now, in terms of value, I think the Tesla superchargers are the best balance between cost as well as time, really. A lot of the rival charging networks charge a lot more with slower charging speeds, and you have to register to the apps. A lot of the apps can be down, whereas the Tesla supercharger network pretty much is tied to your account. So once you actually pull up to the supercharger, all you need to do is just lift the cable, point it at your car, slot it in, and then once you're finished charging, your account is billed. It's that simple, and it pretty much works 99% of the time. I've rarely had an experience where I pulled up to a Tesla supercharger and not had the charger work. It's that good. So of course I briefly mentioned third-party chargers, and you'll find that a lot of the petrol stations like your Shells and your BPs have converted some of their forecourts into EV charging areas, which is fantastic. Though you do have third-party networks like Source London and Ubitricity that are scattered around the city. Again, it does require some registration. It does require a bit of more thought, but for the most part, I find that they work. They don't offer the best charging speeds, however, and a lot of them can be just as expensive, if not more expensive, than the Tesla supercharger network. So that's something to bear in mind. Also, if you need to charge, you can charge at work. And for many businesses, it makes sense. So you will drive to work and you'll probably have your car there for at least 8 hours in the day. And for businesses, it's a great way for them to be proactive about their carbon impacts. What's more, they can make use of the government's workplace charging scheme to reduce the cost of installation. So if you drive to work and would like a charge point installed there, talk to your employer to see if they consider it. Another option if you don't have off-street parking is to run a cable across the street into your car. But beware of regulations around this, as your council reserves the right to remove any cables it deems to be unsuitable. You also may be liable for any issues that may occur, so please bear that in mind. There are some situations though where it's less convenient to have an EV. So for example, if you live in a remote, less densely populated area in which the infrastructure isn't great, you may just want to consider continuing with an ICE vehicle. Also in the cold, if I'm going to be very honest, my car's 263 miles of rated range never really hits that. It's probably closer to like 220. So when it's cold, your mileage will vary and maybe dip and suffer quite a bit, so please bear that in mind. And lastly, for somebody who drives a lot and doesn't have the time to spare for 20 to 30 minutes to top up, you may just want to consider sticking with a nice vehicle as well. So on balance, I wouldn't let the prospect of charging or not having a home charger available to you put you off buying an EV. If you're in the position, I'd really recommend going for it. I will say It's probably easier with a Tesla vehicle, if I'm going to be honest. The car just has a suite of in-car entertainment options for you, ranging from Netflix, Twitch, and YouTube. So you're never really bored and time just flies. So with that being said, I hope you found this video informative. If you have, of course, please give the video a like and consider subscribing so you can stay up to date with all our content. All right, take care, YouTube.